right, guys, we're back for the last match before the break on day 6 of Alliance Tournament 10. I'm Kill2, I'm here with Ravy, and we are about to watch Verge of Collapse versus Goonswarm Federation. A couple more interesting setups, more Vindicators, and a couple Taluses.
And the Chronos. It's very high DPS setups from both teams. Goons have brought a Vindicator, Eos, 3 Taluses, a Neros, 2 Enyos, 2 Malus, and 2 Incursus. And it's worth noting that they've brought in the Vindicator, the Taluses, and the Enyos all at 0. Verge, on the other hand, has warped in at range with Vindicator and a Chronos, Eos and Neros, Sentinel, 2 Sentinels, carries, and then 4 Ishkers and an Enyo.
You know what's interesting about both these setups? Most of the variations we've seen over the last couple matches have all had a Gangling ship, and neither of these teams do.
The Eos.
Oh, sorry, I missed it. I was looking for one.
For
oh, Eos on both sides.
Yeah. So that's a good number of bonuses, and also a nice set of mids you can use for remote tracking or remote ECCM, remote sensor boosting. But the match has now started. The Goon team is charging towards the Verge of Collapse team. That means that their Enyos and their Taluses are going to get there ahead of the Vindicator, which could be a problem, as we see one of the Taluses already taking a lot of damage. However, they're also swinging at that Vindicator for Verge of Collapse.
And that Talus should be armor tanked, so that's not necessarily a big deal yet. Notice there's tons of tracking disruption. Those Sentinels are going to play a pretty big role in this fight.
Sentinels are a great ship in general for the tournament because there's so many turret ships. They're especially good against ships like the Talos, these battleship-sized guns, and don't have the webs, although they have the web from the Vindicator there to help them. So we have Vindicators now dropping for both teams. The Goon Vindy is going down faster, though. Surprisingly, somewhat, because the all those Talos there you'd expect to be doing a lot of damage. But I think the tracking disruption is taking its toll.
Wow, but you can see a lot of that tracking disruption got turned off. They put damps on both Sentinels and the carries, and all of a sudden there was like very little tracking disruption at all. Looks like the Goon Vindy's going to go down, though, before the Verge of Collapse Vindy goes
already
down.
exploded. The Verge Vindy, with that loss of that DPS, is starting to pull back armor.
Yeah, I was going to say, he might be able to recover after that. And here goes a Talos, too. Once he's down, it's going to be really, really hard for them to break that Vindy.
Yeah, at this point, I think they need to start knocking out. They need to get a hold of that Enyos. They need to get these Enyos on top of it. They need to get the Taluses over towards it. But I'm not sure. Both the Chronos and the Vindicator have 90% webs, have that giant web bonus. And you can see webs on both of the Taluses. So that's likely a web from each.
It's funny, we were talking about drones just now. There is such a huge spread of drones. I've seen there's ECM drones on the Oneros for Verge of Collapse. There's armor rate maintenance bots on the same Oneros. There's ECM drones in the middle of the field, medium armor rep bots in the middle of the field, as well as damage drones. So yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Can you zoom in on War God's Neros for a moment?
By the way, third Talos about to drop for Goonswarm. Goon's in big trouble here.
We do see a Sentinel taking a lot of damage for Verge, but I don't think it's going to be enough. He's rep back up. The DPS for Goons is very low. This is War God's Neros here for Verge of Collapse is an example of why an armor Neros is so good. The ASB Neros have been popular, but the armor Neros allows them to fit sensor boosters and ECCMs, or even if you are very afraid of ECM, you can fit up to 2 ECCMs on it, and that give it a lot of protection against these ECM drones. If those ECM drones had gotten a lot of jams, which they may have against a shield Neros, then that Vindicator would have died, because it got down into like 20% armor. But the fact that it was able to stay alive and keep the DPS on the field really, I think, swung this match. As we see Villy, the captain for Goonswarm, in his Eos dropping, and with 2 losses, this is going to make it almost impossible for the Goons to go forward. Not impossible yet at all, but still it's going to be extremely difficult, which is a bit of a surprise considering that we were maybe overhyping the Goons a bit.
I think overhyping them a little bit. They've always, I feel like, managed to stir a little hype going into the tournament, but this always seems to happen.
Last year they really hyped their money sent to the wrong person thing.
That's true.
That was some quality mis-sending of money. Possibly the best mis-sending of money I've ever seen in the tournament.
The 23 bill for the implant was close second,
yes,
though.
That is also a good mis-sending of money. All these CFC alliances having a bit of trouble with their wallets.
So Goons running out of ships here. The Eos did die. They're starting to work on Frigs now. Both Enyos down for Goons. They did a little damage to an Ishkur. That's probably smart bomb damage, to be honest. And the Incursuses will drop next. They'll have to run down those Moluses, but there's really nothing left here for Goons. They
yep, the Vindy there is on top of the Neros. Who got him webbed, so he's going to go down. This is going to be, a very big loss for Goonswarm and a very big win for Verge, who lost their first match.
Right.
We had expected them to do a little bit better than they did yesterday because they had some very experienced tournament players, a lot of the old triumvirate people. But They did lose yesterday, made some very angry posts in the forums, as triumvirate people are wont to do, and but then came back and made a very good showing against the Goons.
What do you think about bringing the Chronos instead of a second Vindicator?
In this case, it allowed them to save some points and put them into the carries and the Sentinels, which I think was an excellent choice for this matchup. It would have hurt them against an ECM team.
Okay.
But the fact that they were able to upgrade to the Sentinels.
Ships dropping left and right. Oniros down, Malus down, Incursus down, like bang, bang, bang.
These
right
Enyos
there,
and Ishkars, once they get on top of the Tech 1 frigates, they'll take them down very quickly. In this case, I think in this matchup, it was an excellent choice. The Sentinels were key in reducing the DPS from the Taluses.
And, you know, this tournament, almost more than any tournament I can remember, actually, has been turret-based. So Sentinels are just consistently going to be a powerhouse, it seems like.
Yep, they are going to be very good. They've been good in previous years. You can, I've always been a fan of using them alongside a Minmatar Rush team to then give you the kind of range flexibility. The kind of team that Ro Capel tried to use yesterday, but then ran out of the arena with, where you have some range control and some like curse tracking disruption. But in this case, it's working out very well for Verge, and they're going to get a very solid victory. And be in a very good spot. They'll be 1-1, and that'll put them in a place where if they win their match tomorrow, they'll be guaranteed through it.
All right. Well, with that, we'll go back to the studio before our break, and when we come back to the commentary booth, you won't have to listen to me and Ravy anymore. It'll be Michael Bolton.
Happy.